Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jaded. And first thing, I got a Twitter. So you guys can follow me if you want. If you don't, that's fine. Since somebody stole my username, as always, here's my username. You like how I use the gem sound effect? Yes, because it's like a gem. What's that? I already used it in the intro? Oh. Well. Fuck it. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there have been 3 different leaks / fake things going on. So the first one was a guy pretending to be a Diablo 3 tester, and he started his own blog and then had people ask him questions and then replied to tons of questions, and apparently it's completely fake. And then the second thing, there was another fake image of somebody trying to forge a sort of memo or a letter about World of Warcraft, and then that got figured out. And then third, most recently was a release date, a leaked release date of Diablo 3, which at this point, why even bother? I realize that the news is kind of slow for Diablo 3. There's not a lot coming out with the event coming up, not too soon away. So it's gonna be a little slow. It's gonna be a little dry. But yeah, why do people gotta make up stuff? I mean, if you're smart about this, it's so obvious that first off, Blizzard doesn't know the release date, and even if there's a projected release date, who knows if they're gonna actually meet that or delay the game back. The beta hasn't even been out. How do you what would make people believe that it's actually getting released this November? Which is what supposedly got leaked, is it's coming in November and they're working around the clock. It's push time, which that part's probably true. But whether it gets released in November or not, that's really up in the air at this point, even if that was a projected release date. So I'm sure we'll get some response to that in the not too distant future. But at this point, it's guys, just keep waiting. Just keep waiting. Keep doing what we do best. So with that being said, if the game did get released around November, I just want you guys to realize how many other games are coming out at that exact same mash of months. From October to December, there's going to be so much stuff that comes out. It's probably not such a smart idea from a business standpoint to release, so close to everything. But, it's Blizzard. It's probably the biggest title that's going to get released. In my eyes, I don't know about the world's eyes, all the COD players and this whole war between Battlefield 3 and COD. And then you got games like Uncharted 3, you got Skyrim, you got, what else? Guild Wars 2 is supposed to come out sometime towards the end of this year. You got Saints Row 3, which I didn't play the first 2, but the third one actually looks really fun. You got Rage, which comes out a bit earlier. There's just a ton of games coming out. And, of course, you got Modern Warfare, which is really unfortunate because I feel like right now we kind of have this dry spot of just, nothing to do, really. And it would be nice to have some of these games come out, a bit earlier, even though, arguably, the best time frame to release games nowadays is towards Christmas. So with that being said, guys, out of the games I list, or maybe one I forgot, there's also Deus Ex coming out, which I don't really have high hopes for. We got Torchlight 2, which will come out not too far from now, I believe, a month away, or am I wrong? I could be wrong. I'm gonna have to go check that. But yeah, out of all those games I list, or one I didn't list, what are you guys looking forward to besides Diablo? Let me know. Personally, I'll probably be playing some Battlefield 3 and maybe some Torchlight. But yeah, anyways, on to more Diablo 3 specific content. I wanted to talk about the PvP system a little bit. Being a player that, in my past, I was always very competitive as a youngin'. I always enjoyed it much more. I always tried to focus on it the most, whether it was Counter-Strike or dueling in D2 or PvP and MMOs. I was always really focused on the player versus player aspect because always felt like it was gameplay that was never the same, and just because of that, it made it much more dynamic, and I had a lot more fun with it. Now that being said, you know, as I get older and as games sort of change and evolve and PvE gets more interesting, especially with better AI and more interesting sort of ways to interact with the environment, I think PvE's come a long way from what it once was, where it was just sort of a grind fest. But now it can be more interesting, more entertaining, more rewarding as well. You know, like the loot you get from PvE is obviously why it's so awesome. But that being said, I'm definitely going to check out the arenas. It's definitely something I'm looking forward to, seeing how it plays out in the community and how it sort of lives up to a competitive space in games. I guess if I put it on a scale of like fun to competitive, TF2 to like Counter-Strike or something, I would hope it would lean more towards the just like having fun with your friends, and instead of taking the game so super serious and getting angry or frustrated about things, just having like a lot of fun with the game. And Blizzard has said this about the PvP, where basically they don't want it to be an esport like StarCraft is. They don't want to push that because they know they can never balance it perfectly to the point where they don't want to like sort of reinforce that scene with the game in any way. But of course, you know, we as gamers, we could still like, you know, create tournaments and all that good stuff. You know, it's still our game to play, but they're just not gonna like officially really support that stuff. And me personally, I hope one feature that they add at some point is the ability to spectate. Because I think, you know, if you're gonna show off to your friends or tell them you got this cool strategy, you want people to be able to watch your duels, to jump in and spectate. If not, at least add like a replay system where you can share it with other, you know, enthusiasts, or maybe you got something special you want to give to somebody to make a video out of, like a montage or, you know, stuff like that. Like, I really hope that they push the more viewer side of it, but I wouldn't expect those features at launch personally. That's something that they said might come, that they were looking at, but it isn't like a high priority for them. So I don't know if you guys know this, but something really interesting that they stated they're doing on the hardcore side of things is they are adding the, you know, they're having the arena system for hardcore as well. And they said that when you die in the arena, your character dies. And I found this sort of insane. Like, I honestly didn't expect it, you know, because like that just, when you sit down and think about it, it's two things. It's awesome that they're putting it in, and secondly, it's pretty absurd to think that you know, as this game progresses, you're gonna basically be going up against people who have figured the arena out. And, you know, when you go into hardcore, it's gonna be pretty insane. If you take your like freshly hit 60 character, you can't just go PvP with them. You know, you're gonna have to gear them out, and you're gonna have like your strategy down beforehand. You're gonna have to do a lot of non-hardcore, I would think, you know, to get used to it. But that's pretty hilarious. I'm curious if like, oh man, it's so crazy to think like on a threes team, you go in there with 3 people, you come out with like 2 or something because one died during the fight. Like that to me sounds wrong on so many levels. Like, you come in there with your 2 friends and then only you leave because, you know, you're the last one alive. That's pretty hilarious if that's how it works. But I don't know how popular that's going to be. I hope it gets way popular and people really dig it, because it sounds pretty cool. And it would just be fun to like spectate those matches, you know what I mean? If they allowed spectating, I would so sit there and watch hardcore players just like totally get wrecked and lose all that hard work, you know what I mean? But back to the softcore arena and I guess just arena in general. I wanted to talk about the health globes that they added, and we've seen the BlizzCon videos, we've seen we've seen in any arena videos they put up, I believe. So there's these health globes, and in this one map that they showed them in, they showed them all 4 spawning at the same time on the same points. And I don't know if they're planning to change this at all at this point, but you know, when I watched a bunch of these videos, it seems like, I don't know, it seems really like unfortunate that these are in arena and if they keep them, because every time I saw it, it was, you know, like a wizard teleporting into one before you could get to one, or just being lucky that you're there when they spawn. And if it's a set time and they're always in the set place, like you can just, you know, you can pretty much time that in your head, like how Quake players time, you know, items and armor and stuff like that. Like it's all in your head. Like when you play it a ton, you're gonna remember this stuff. And I don't know, it just seems unfortunate because it's so much health and it's such a big boost. And there's really no downside to going for these orbs unless you sort of booby trap them, but there's 4. I mean, you got plenty of options to get them. And it just sort of changes the whole tide of the game, and it almost negates all the damage that you did to somebody. And I don't think it, in the competitive spirit of things, I don't think these are a good thing. I think they should be removed. And if, you know, Blizzard decides to keep them, I think they should be balanced, and they probably will be changed before we get our hands on the game. They just don't seem to be fitting for the whole arena system. But that's all in my opinion. You know, let me know what you guys think about the orbs. If you've watched like any of the arena videos that they've released, or if you think they could change them in a way to make them interesting. You know, I'd love to hear it. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Follow me on Twitter if you want, and let me know what games you're looking forward to before D3 gets released, and what you want to play. And also how you feel about PvP in general, and like the hardcore, like once you die, you're dead forever, because I think that's pretty hilarious. But check back on Saturday, I'll have a new video. I'm out. See you guys.